We can start now with the next session. It's a discussion. The chair will be Giuseppe.
Okay, we are going to start the next session, but I would like to have an idea of those ones that are going to leave soon. I think that the group coming from Naples is going to evaporate around 12:30 or something like that. Okay, so the idea is just to have a discussion at the end of the meeting to have a more clear idea what we have to bring at home of this great opportunity that we have had during the last few days. And obviously, I am going to do this following my ideas, but the discussion is open and you can interrupt me at any time, okay? So, I would like to go back to some of the talks and discussions that we have had during the previous days, and I have had the feeling that there are groups, I am talking about the AGN community, the supernova community, in which for which the idea of the white paper is already solid, in the sense that you have already preliminary estimates concerning the cadence that you would like to have. What kind of, when I am saying cadence, means not only for the wide survey, but also for mini surveys and deep drilling fields. So at this point, probably it might be very useful to understand whether, according to the current plans, you are going to either to submit your own white paper or whether you are going to join some of the groups that are already working on this. Like, I think that was Angela that was mentioning that there are already activities in the LSST science collaborations. Or if Colin is not here, we are going to talk in Italian, there is no doubt. But in any case, I think that is not going to be deeply interested in this, but we can continue with English, it's not a problem. So just this curiosity to understand what you are planning.
Allora, beh, se non c'è... Parla italiano, allora... Schippiamo. No, noi siamo gennisti nel gruppo dei transienti, Angela invece rappresentava l'animo gennistico puro, no? E l'accordo che abbiamo fatto è che ci diamo 10 giorni perché lei possa sentire gli altri agenisti e poi ci risentiamo per vedere di trovare, nel frattempo vediamo se Neil Brandt decide di fare questo white paper in cui combina gli AGN con le supernove o se preferisce alla fine andare avanti solo con gli AGN. Quindi lasciamo passare questi 10 giorni e poi ci risentiamo per vedere se possiamo fare effettivamente qualcosa o aggrapparci a questo, diciamo, questo proposal di Neil Brandt o andare avanti noi, però magari insieme agli agenisti italiani, perché ci sono dei punti di contatto che è il caso di sfruttare. Dopodiché anche i supernovisti italiani potrebbero essere interessati a...
Aspetta. Tu li chiami supernovisti, io li chiamo supernovari perché mi dà una sensazione più bella.
No, io contatterò gli americani per verificare se sono interessati a una collaborazione. Ovviamente sentirò prima tutto il gruppo e vedrò se, perché abbiamo discusso anche questo con Enzo, che non c'è particolarmente chiaro, se a questo stadio si conviene presentare comunque il nostro progetto, in modo che sia chiaro la collaborazione, quello che vogliamo fare, eccetera, con il nostro white paper, e poi magari in un secondo momento mergere i programmi.
So, I have the feeling that from this point of view, you already have a clear idea on what to do during the next 10 days, in the sense that you are going to discuss with the Italian community first and then with the LSST collaboration. Sara?
This is something in common with our group of young stars, because for what concerns...
I would like to
Okay.
on this issue in a minute.
Okay.
In a minute. The thing that I am missing right now, and I apologize whether I didn't follow in detail all the discussion, who is involved with the photometric redshifts. Is there anyone in this audience that is interested in the wide survey, the kind of cadence for the U-band, the depth of the U-band? Do you know whether there is anyone here that is interested in this kind of science? No, wait a minute. I'm talking about the wide survey. You know that Adriano mentioned that there is already some preliminary discussion between Euclid and LSST concerning the depth of the U-band. But when we are talking about this, is the field covered by Euclid, that is by definition not covering the galactic plane, but focused on the deep cosmological fields plus the area covered by Euclid. So I was wondering whether there is anyone that is going to, of the PI ships that we have about the extragalactic science, whether there is anyone that is interested in these kind of issues or not. Right now, yeah.
Yes. Also the Blazer group could be interested.
I agree about the interest, but in that case it's more specific because the issue is essentially on the depth of the U-band. Because the problem is that they really need the U-band for the photometric redshifts. And the cadence and the kind of exposure time for the U-band is going to be crucial for them. So in case, probably, but this is my guess, I am not sure, probably what they are doing is, since the same groups are also involved in Euclid, probably they are going to address this issue with the collaboration, within the Euclid collaboration. This is what I can think about. I am not sure. I was wondering whether there is anyone of this community that can talk about this, but there isn't. So it's something that we are not going to discuss in more detail. Now, once we have clarified this issue, I would like to move a little bit more in the direction that Sara was mentioning, that is young objects and also those ones that are mainly interested in, let me define, in the Milky Way and local volume resolved stellar populations. What you are planning to do pragmatically for addressing these issues of the cadence and the kind of depth for individual magnitudes?
What I can say about this right now, after also the discussion of these last days, is that it is possible that we could do two different white papers because of different cadence strategy we have in mind. Because for young stars with variability, it could be possible to submit a white paper that could be also for the Y-fast deep with the cadence, proper cadence, to follow accretion variability. But at the same time, for young stars in clusters, what we can, and maybe, I don't know if you want to comment on this, it is possible we can submit a different white paper, which is more, as far as the first one is more TVS oriented, let's say, and the second one on clusters, we are more interested in the galactic plane depth. Maybe it could be also deep drilling field. We have to discuss about this, and because we already have several ideas with quantitative measurement made. I mean, and this could be more Milky Way, local volume oriented. Also, in this case, there just could be room for collaboration with already proposed white papers from the not led by the Italian community, and this is something that we have to, as said before by Claudia, we have to consider, to keep in contact and consider. I don't know if you want to add something, or maybe Germano.
May I just add one point? If I understood correctly, the variability and the young clusters, are they covering the same galactic regions or the same regions? Yes, but the strategy is different. So this is the reason why you would like to submit two different white papers.
It was, the point was exactly the question that I made yesterday to Federica, that if we can combine in a one white paper a strategy that is not in conflict, but on the same, with same fields, and with the same science, of course, because accretion stars are young stars in clusters, that would be great. We have to consider if this is in contrast, of course, because of the cadence. In that case, we can consider to submit two different white papers, maybe one TVS-oriented, one Milky Way-oriented.
But I will come to you. I would like to close the discussion about this point concerning the variability. Ilaria is not here, is here. So the point about the variability in the disk is something that, in my opinion, there is a room for a common project, because the only thing that we have to think about are the different time scales. So what is the time scale, the typical time scale of the objects that you are interested in compared with delta Scuti stars, compared with classical Cepheids? But there is no doubt that there is a significant fraction of the PI ships involved with TVS that are interested in variability along the galactic plane. The fact that they are young is not a problem, because several of these objects, classical Cepheids or even the Myras, can be found in the same fields, because whenever you are covering in a single shot 10 square degrees, you are bringing at home almost everything. So probably, if you are going to split the two proposals, there is the possibility to join in a single white paper the issues concerning the variability across the galactic disk. And now, Germano.
No, I want just to summarize a bit the situation of the Milky Way collaboration. So there is this white paper from Jay Strader, which is pretty much including all the topic regarding the Milky Way collaboration. So there we are all focusing on this white paper. We have already a deadline for the 29th of October to present a draft of different contribution. In my opinion, it's a strong white paper. What we ask is essentially to observe the galactic plane with the same cadence of the wide field deep survey. So yes, we can discuss to do other options, but we should be aware that there is this paper with a lot of contributors from US that come from most of the collaboration, which is actually, I think, a strong proposal.
You know, this is an easy coin, in the sense that if you are just suggesting to have the same sampling of the wide survey, I think that is an issue that can be easily understood. But the point for the galactic plane, in my opinion, is that you have to compromise between crowding and wavelengths. So the fact that in the galactic plane we need more Z and Y is in my opinion, absolutely necessary, because the U-band is very useful, is crucial for a number of issues, but the limiting magnitude in these regions is going to be very shallow. So the only possibility that we have to go deeper is to improve the kind of a sampling in Z and Y, IZY, let me say in this way. Because in these bands, we are going to have the possibility to penetrate regions that are not possible just with the U and the G band. So one of the issues that I mentioned briefly in one of the discussions that we have had during the previous days, there is the requirement to go well beyond the galactic center. And well beyond the galactic center means the possibility to go in regions where AK is around 1, which means 10 magnitudes in the optical, but is still 4 or 5 magnitudes in the IZY. And this is still within the reach of the limited magnitudes for the LSST. I don't know whether we are going, I am pretty sure that we are going to make these issues for the variability detection, because it is quite important and the variability in the Z-band is still significant to detect the objects. But for sure what we are going to do is to push as much as possible in these 3 near, let's say, redder bands, not near infrared, but redder bands, because they are more rewarding in these regions. Just to complete the discussion about this problem, we started the simulations a few years ago for the hyper supreme cam to identify the, how to say, the fraction of the camera that was going to deliver good images pointing the galactic center. And in the I band, we found that 30–40% of the area of the pointing was providing images deeper than 24. Now, if we are going to do the same exercise with a 10 square degree, in my opinion, an easy coin, once again, is the fact that even if these regions are heavily reddened, the fraction of the camera that is going to give us information about the stellar population is still quite large. So it's something that we have to quantify, but this is just to make more clear that at least for the variability, we are going in this direction. So if there is any other one that is interested in joining us for the variability, which also means color magnitude diagrams automatically, is welcome in joining the effort. Okay? Now we can, I will say, we can move to in case I am not missing something about the white paper that we are going to submit for the bulge, okay? For the idea of the bulge, Ilaria, correct me if I am wrong, we know that there is a deep drilling field in the galactic bulge because this field has been selected for covering the area that W first is going to cover. We know that the existence of this field, but we don't know yet the coordinates. Colin, if you can help us to find out where the coordinates of this field is. Sorry? Okay, so we can contact her because this is quite important, because since this is going to be a deep drilling field, whatever we decide to do has to be complementary with what is going to be done there. And what they are asking, since they are interested in microlensing, Gabriela, this is something that is very useful for you, is that they would like to come back in the same field every hour. Am I right? This is one of the requirements of this deep drilling field. Colin, you seem... Sorry? Yeah. So, Colin, you seem... Why?
I've never heard of this field.
Well, this meeting is useful. It's not useless. You are learning something.
Is this one of the fields that were arranged in 2011 or 2012, or is this more recent?
I think that is recent, and I will tell you why. Because this discussion started long ago, but then there was the stop for W first, and they were not sure whether... Yeah. And now it is back once again, okay? So the fact that LSST is going to have a deep drilling field in the bulge seems quite solid. Our idea is to complement this field with other 2 fields or probably 3 fields to have a knowledge of the shape of the bulge. And in this effort, there are obviously Chilean colleagues that are interested. There are US colleagues like Abisa, Manuela Zoccali, and other colleagues that are interested in the science that we can do once we have this opportunity to go deep in the bulge, not only with the color magnitude diagram, but also with the variability. And the reason for this interest is that I don't know whether you have had the opportunity to take a look to this paper published by Keynes and collaborators, where they have had the opportunity to observe for a long time with VMOS at VLT 3 fields in the galactic bulge. And what is interesting is that since you have an 8-meter telescope, they have the opportunity to see everything between this side of the bulge and the side of the bulge that is beyond the galactic center. So this means that even if the crowding is severe, we are going to have the opportunity with LSST to image simultaneously sources that are in the 2 sides of the galactic disk. This is the kind of science that we would like to put in the white paper, and stressing the fact that this is a unique opportunity to investigate stellar populations in a region of the galaxy that has never been investigated before due to crowding, reddening, and so far and so forth. Okay? VVV is observing, but is observing across the galactic plane. As soon as you move below and above the galactic plane, the sampling is not so good. Yeah, okay. No, not very high, but in any case above the region covered by VVV, in which the reddening is lower, but still very good for the limit that has been fixed for LSST. The advantage that we have in selecting I, Z, and Y is that even if the higher mass is going to be slightly larger, this is not a problem for these bands. It becomes a problem if you are interested in the U band, but not I, Z, and Y. Okay, Gabriella.
I just wanted to ask if you have an idea of which areas do you want to check because of this. It's not symmetric like the behavior of some stellar populations. So.
Okay. Absolutely correct. We didn't select the fields yet. But it is clear that we are going to overlap in one field for sure with the field covered by ABI with DECAM. Okay? And after that, we are going to select regions in which we might have synergies with other pointings that have been done. In particular, I would say that there is almost no doubt that we are going for the 2 low reddening regions between the Bode window and the other one that is called the Ogle or the Blanco Bode window that is slightly at southern position compared with the Bode. But this is something that we are moving in this region. Okay, this is essentially the idea that we have. And once again, this is open to all the possible collaborations concerning stellar populations, variability, or whatever you want. So is open, an open opportunity for those ones that are interested in this kind of science. Okay? I don't know whether there is any suggestion, any comment, any whatever.
Not on this, but I would like to ask something about
Okay, if it is not related, let me close the discussion about this point. So in case, once again, I am not missing something, I will say that right now, according to what Federica showed yesterday, I will say that we know how to do what we have to do for the scientific justification and a number of other technical issues concerning the photometric bands, the seeing and similar issues. But for sure, we are not very familiar with the use of math concerning the optimization of the cadence of the different bands. So I don't know whether Ilaria or Massimo would like to add something about this issue, but it is clear if there is anyone that is already familiar, the advantage that we have in dealing with this kind of variability is that we have analytical light curves. So this means that we have a sum of Gaussian functions, a sum of Fourier parameters that can be, Fourier functions that can be used just to predict what is the shape of the light curve. So if there is someone that is interested in collaborating with us for speeding up the analysis of the cadence, this is welcome. Okay? So I don't know whether... So we didn't start yet about this issue. Is something that we know where to do, where this kind of information should be provided within MAF, but we do not have yet a machine that can help us.
Procedure that we can try to test. To see if it's possible to obtain a number as showed yesterday by Federica. It's not so clear what we have to do, but
wait a minute, if they succeeded with the blazer,
yes, yes,
you provided just a magnitude.
yes. But it's not a periodic phenomenon.
But in this case, we should be more advantaged.
Yes, but the problem is the metric, not if there is a metric to be used. This is...
At the very end, the very good number is that, for example, if we follow what is the cadence of the wide survey, means that we have two measurements, one close to the other, that for us is a single point. And then we have one more measurement per night after 1 hour. Okay, this is fixed by the asteroid community. We cannot discuss this issue, okay? Now the point becomes, with the two measurements per night divided by 1 hour, what kind of sampling I have of objects that have a period between 0.2 and 100 days after 6 months? And in my opinion, it's not very different with what they have obtained. Yeah, but different. But this is essentially the kind of matrix that... What do you mean at the baseline? No. Yeah. But this is... Ilaria, you are absolutely right. If we are interested, just coming back, sorry if I am using the bulge, but is something that I am a bit more familiar with. If we are interested in the bulge is visible only for 6 months per year. So there is no doubt that if we would like to improve the sampling for the variability in the bulge, we have a rolling cadence that is module 6 months. because in the other 6 months, we do not have targets. So we cannot image the bulge. I agree, but I was using half a year because it's easier to think about. But the point is that the rolling cadence that we have, and from this point of view, I think that is quite different with all the other issues that other projects that we listen about, is the fact that there are some targets that are visible only for a period of the year. So what we are...
Let me try and say some things, and you can tell me if I'm clarifying things or making things worse. When we speak of the word rolling cadence, we're basically talking about wide, fast, deep, where you're kind of agnostic to the individual areas on the sky you're trying to observe, but you want to tighten the revisit time between revisits in certain patches of the sky at the cost of lengthening that revisit at other patches of the sky which are disfavored for that particular month or season or year. It is so when we talk about the mini surveys or deep drilling fields like that, that's not something that we lump into the rolling cadence term to the extent that these terms are well defined. So there's no need to conflate these. Second point is that it is true that we do not have rolling cadence program databases available to analyze. It ended up taking a lot more work to make the OpSim implement those rolling cadences, and so essentially the project opted to rewrite a lot of the way the scheduler works rather than to spend a lot of time doing ad hoc fixes to the existing version to make something that looks like rolling cadence, because we kind of suspected that the version that came out wasn't going to be something that people actually really wanted. We'd rather have the right version rather than having a hack version. But I think it's fine to say we don't have those databases available, but we know that we need the tighter revisit spacing at the cost of only getting that over a shorter period of time. Having, as Federica said many times, having the metric that quantifies the extent to which that might be helpful is much more important than actually evaluating that and saying that this is the cadence we want and this is the cadence we don't want.
I'm a bit confused because for what I understood, you want to do a drip drilling field. That is not in any simulation. So in principle, if you want to do a simulation, you have to produce another OpSim simulation with these two drilling fields and run your math on this simulation. I agree with Ilaria.
Yes or not, in the sense that I agree with Colin, and Colin was already mentioned this. We don't need to provide simulations, because what we are just saying is that for the science that we are interested in, the number of visits that we need in these specific regions has to be this. Then it is their duty to select, sorry? No, this is a simulation of the cadence. It's not a simulation of the images. It's completely different.
The key is to provide why you want a particular survey strategy. What is the driving factor? What is the I'm trying to not use the word metrics a million times, but like, so what's the observational quantity that tells you this does my science? Is it I need to go to 27.5? Is it I need to have visits every day? Is it I need to have visits every hour? That is the key. If you just give us that, we will, and everything else is too hard, we will fill in the details to the best of our ability. But I don't want people to forego that just because they couldn't go all the way to an end-to-end simulation of the entire survey If that's unreasonable, if that's more than you can accomplish and it takes time away from writing down the science case, then don't worry about it. Let's just get the science cases, quantify them to the best of your ability. It can be sort of back of the envelope, can be pen and paper. That would be fine. If it's an actual Python code, super, but if it's not, let's still go with it.
So this is, once again, this is not end-to-end simulations that we have to simulate the fields in the galactic bulge that we are interested in and performing the photometry on these images. This is not an issue. What we have to do is, for detecting variability that have this time scale and these kind of limiting magnitudes, we need these kind of exposures distributed in intra-night, in intra-month, in intra-year, whatever you would like to think about. But this is the main issue that we have to address. Gabriella.
No, I have a doubt because I'm not sure why we are so interested in observing more than, for example, 6 months, if the variability in general is quite short for studying stellar populations.
The point are the aliases, in the sense that if you are going to go there at the same time of the night with an interval of 1 hour, you are going to have a strong impact on the variability that you can detect. It is clear that in 10 years this is going to be covered, but in 10 years we would like to maximize the opportunity of the science that we would like to do in a reasonable time scale. I am not saying that in a season we have to cover everything, but the fact that if we just change a little bit the cadence or the kind of visits per night, this is going to have a strong impact in the science that we would like to do. That's the main issue. Okay? For objects that have periods of hundreds of days or years, there is no doubt that we have to wait. You are going to have those ones for free at the end of the survey. There is no doubt on this. The only thing that we can think about is that if they are going to visit these fields only 30 times, probably we do not cover the variability of these objects. So what we have to say is in 10 years' time, we would like to have 90 phase points and not 30, because some of these variables are not regular, and so we need to sample the light curve. Okay? These are the kind of issues that we have to deal with, essentially. If there are no other points or discussion about this point, I would like to give to Roberto the opportunity to mention what he is interested in.
Okay, thanks. In Torino, we have been speaking in particular with Sara about the possibility to ask for a better sampling of the galactic disk. Actually, after Torino, I made some real calculations. I mean, I took the white dwarf catalog from year 2, and I selected those that will fall into the wide fast deep survey. And so the result of this is that only 3% of these stars are in the galactic disks. So from this point of view, it's not important for me. On the other hand, if I consider all the new white dwarfs that will be discovered by LSST, which is about 3 million or so, up to magnitude 23, so actually it's more than that, but the best ones, let's say, for these ones, 1/3 will fall about in the galactic disk. So this point is still important, but not essential for my program, okay? On the other hand, what I understood, thinking a bit more to these things, is that it's much more important for me to keep the two 15 seconds exposures. This is important for me, instead of getting just 1 30-second exposure. And so from this point of view, I would like to ask to all of you, and Giuseppe in particular, if there are other groups in Italy that are particularly interested in keeping the two snaps of 15 seconds. I don't know, instead of a single 30-second or so exposure. Yeah. So after that, just one thing more. I think that I will, in any case, contact. There are two very recent papers, excuse me, about the search of wider planets. One is by the group of Josh Pepper and company. That I know them because we had some discussion about tests, etc. So I will certainly contact them, because one possibility is to make a white paper dedicated to this specific program. This, in some sense, would be the best for me. The other possibility is just to join other groups in Italy that are interested in this particular requirement and stress this point.
Well, I have to say that this is something that we are also taking into account, and the reason is very simple. With 15 seconds, Colin, correct me if I am wrong, you are going to saturate at G16, something like that. R16. So this means that if we are going to have objects that are not very reddened in the galactic bulge, we have there is the risk that in RIZ they might be saturated. So Ubi Major, minor Cesat.
Okay. No, we have basically the same issue with the galactic bulge, because of course we have the distribution magnitude of our RS stars, but a lot of them are quite bright. So we are interested in keeping the pairs.
So just to conclude the sentence, probably what we are going to ask is 3 10 seconds for these regions. Or a shorter and a longer exposure, but for sure we cannot keep, in particular in RZ, in IZ and Y, the same snapshots that are used for the bright for the main survey, because otherwise you are going to saturate almost all the horizontal branch in a significant fraction of the bulge. Mini survey of the galactic bulge. And I don't know, because this is something that we don't know yet, whether the deeper drilling field for the bulge is going to have similar requirements, but it's something that we are going to discover. If you are interested in the evolve the population, 15 seconds with an 8-meter telescope you are wasting a lot of information, there is no doubt. Just for answering your question, I was wondering whether there are other doubts or questions or suggestions concerning what we are discussing now.
In my case, I would like to ask this for the big side, not for the big side.
Well, the wide survey is a business that is really difficult to manage. Yeah. So if we do not have a really strong arguments for the wide survey, because of the wide survey, you have to think about that if you are saturating 16, is not a problem, because these objects are going to be in the Gaia catalog, by definition. The reason why we are trying to push in the galactic bulge is because something that is absolutely sure is that the data collected by Gaia for the galactic bulge and the galactic disk are going to be released at the end of the mission, okay? Even if they are going to be released at the end of the mission, we do not know what kind of accuracy we are going to have in these crowded fields. And we already know that the G band and the B band are going to be blind when the reddening is becoming higher, because the only other possibility is the R band. So the reason why LSST is going to be complementary with what Gaia is going to do is exactly for this reason, because we are talking about a region of the galaxy in which Gaia is not going to be the killing machine. But for the halo, in which you do not have crowding, and the sampling of Gaia is in any case good, I don't think that we have strong reasons for asking a change in the snapshot strategy. Yeah. So, once again, if you think that we have solid arguments for doing that, why not? But with these, in my opinion, with these constraints, Livia.
I'm just confused by for the bulge. I mean, you are going to have two surveys, the deep drilling survey of the bulge and a mini survey? I didn't understand.
The deep drilling field is a single point in LSST.
Okay.
Go there and collecting images with some frequency. This is something that we can join them, but is not a matter of discussion. What we are asking on top of this is other 2 or 3 pointings to have a more complete...
And this is the mini survey?
The mini survey.
Okay.
Exactly. I am here waiting for suggestions or comments or whatever. Germano.
For these 3 fields, do you want the same cadence as the drip drilling field that, no, shallow cadence, okay.
I will tell you why. If this field is important for the microlensing, they are going to apply for sure for tube bands because the event is achromatic and they need to have the information in tube bands. But we do not have the requirements to come back within 1 hour. We can go there at any time, but what is important is that within the night. Because for variability that is intra-night, to have more than 1 point means to resolve a lot of aliases around 0.5 and 1 day. And this is something that we would like to avoid. So it's intra-night, but at any time, random phases. We are not going to tell them, you have to go back at that time. Okay, so from this point of view is different, the sampling that we are going to suggest.
My only point that Laura Magrini may be interested in the bulge, so I will report to her this proposal. I'll see what she may be interested to join for.
You have another young colleague that is interested in the bulge, and is Laura Inno. Because we are collaborating with this project about the detection of the classical cepheids beyond the galactic center. So she is for sure interested in. Yeah. Okay. Other doubts or questions?
So for what I understand, there are no other groups that you know that could be interested initially to maintain this 15 plus 15 seconds strategy?
Not to my knowledge. We already have this discussion. The fact that in this meeting we have had only a portion of the LSST community is because for someone that is interested in photometric redshift, 15 plus 15 is a metaphysical issue. He's not interested at all. What really matters is a limiting magnitude, full stop.
It will go to, they say 15, actually you can go to 17 magnitude or so, but not more than that, right? So if you really need a lot of statistics and good resolution, then LSST is the solution.
Fully agree with you. Okay. So in case, I think that for you, right now, I think that is just a matter of catalogs.
Basis, let's say. So I will have to see if there is some interest, yes, to keep small exposures, for example. But from our point of view, Plato, we are not interested in the galactic plane, for example, because our pointings are not there. So it will be more on the long pointing fields of Plato. So maybe we will have to discuss this. I will have to discuss this in Padova and see what they want to do, if they want to collaborate on some of the white papers.
So, is another planet. So, okay, if we know, let's say in this way, we know each other. So in case you have suggestions, you have colleagues once you are coming back at home that are interested in the discussion in the projects that we are discussing this morning, please contact the relevant persons, and we will see how to involve all the members.
On this point, I would like to say that as far as for TVS science collaboration, I am the chair of the task force of special programs for the optimization and the strategy with the LSST. And we collected almost all the science cases we discussed here in Palermo. There are some new that emerged that we discussed in Turin and now in Palermo. So the exoplanetary on around white dwarf, the Plato catalog, and so on. If you are aware also of other potentially interested people, I think it could be useful to share with the task force of TVS your new ideas. It's just the science cases, of course it's not a white paper, so we can coordinate, because at the end of this meeting I would like to have a telecon of this and reporting to TVS and science collaboration in general. So as made in New York, we can end with some scientific cases, also some proposal for collaborations, some more details that we are discussing about. So okay. This is partial. In this meeting, as you said, there are not all the representatives from enough, but if we know about new projects, please contact me.
Okay. So in English you will say that this is a caterpillar. It's opening, not the animal, but the tractor, you know, in that sense. Okay, so if there are no other issues, I would like to please the local organized committee whether you can come. Okay, so it's according to what Sara told me, we are going to have the possibility to stay here for the afternoon after the lunch. Am I right? Okay, so it depends, it's up to you. I am probably going to stay here for, I have to send a few mails probably I need for half an hour, 1 hour.
If you are a small group, we can also go to the observatory and so...
No problem.
We can decide to stop.
On the spot, okay. So after this, I will say that since I am the last official speaker, I will say that it's time to thank Sara for this, Sara and all the other colleagues that have been involved in the organization, but I will say in particular Sara for the work that she has done for making a successful meeting. And no, wait a minute, don't worry, stay quiet. I am a poor guy, you know, I come from the countryside, but we can do that. So we would like to thank you and giving you a small present that is not going to give you the opportunity to recover all the efforts, but, you know, is something, well, you know, we have an organizer that is providing these flowers for you. Thank you very much for the effort. And now it is time that you call all the other collaborators.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Didn't expect this. It's wonderful. Thank you. I will keep this. I will just share.
I can be your valet. If you agree, I will keep the flowers. Okay.
No, I would like to thank this young
For all the ladies,
colleagues.
we have one flower. For
Oh wow! I didn't know about that. Oh, thank you so much also for.
We are poor men,
Yeah,
but, you know.
I would like. First of all, I would like to thank Federica and Owen. And they are not here because Federica left. Owen is not with us because he's moving. He's changing his work right now. I would like to thank Colin to be here. So. For me, it was very useful to have you here in person and to have the opportunity to discuss with you, with Federica, and so thank you very much. I would like to thank all the people in the SOC, also so Giuseppe, Maria Teresa, and so he's left early this morning as well, Francesco, Damiani, and Marcella. Marconi, are you already still here? Okay, thank you. And I would like to thank Laura Leonardi and Laura Daricello, the co-chairs of the LOC that helped me to obtain this amazing place for this workshop and for the catering and so on and so forth. And all, please come here, also all of you. So I would like to thank Ileana. She's not here right now, and you have the chance to meet her for the museum. And then Giulia, Giada, Maria Emanuela, Antonio, Titti, Cosimo, Cristian, and Luciana, and the Chad, Flavio, and Salvatore. So, Christian for the video, and thank you so much for the support. Thank you.
Okay, so once again, this is for you, this is for me. And obviously, I would like to add to the list of the acknowledgements, all of you for attending, for deciding to attend this meeting and to have been so kind to participate to the discussion. This was quite informal, and so this means that these kind of meetings have a meaning only if the participants are really interested in the topic. So thank you very much to all of you, and see you soon. I don't know where, but I'm pretty sure that we are going to meet somewhere. Thank you very much, and have a good flight back at home.
Thank you, Giuseppe. Thank you.